All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich Cholenza. Thanks for checking out the Rich Cholenza Show. So, what I want to talk about today is possibly someone's lifestyle holding them back from being in a relationship. This can go for men or women, but I'm going to mainly be talking about guys in this because that's basically who I help. And I noticed this years ago with some of my family members, actually female family members that were very corporate orientated, which was kind of weird in the 70s, but I had some cousins that traveled that were very into business and just very corporate orientated. And, some of them had complications finding the right man. For a long period of time, they also would not settle. But what I realized back then is them being, in that environment, especially in a time where not a lot of women were doing these things, that it was hard. And then they would also find men that they liked to a certain degree, but the men could not adapt to their lifestyle because a lot of the men wanted just maybe a woman that would stay at home at that point in time, maybe have kids. That was not their thing at that point in time in their life, especially through their 20s, 30s, 40s. I still even have a family member to this day that never got married, lives in a big city downtown, and just kind of, for the most part, I'm not saying she put her career ahead of relationships, but she was very driven to succeed in what she did. But this one's going to back to, that was women, but I'm going now to the guys. Because I have clients that a lot of times, or people I talk to, I should say, men especially, that have a problem either meeting women or they have a problem, I talk about putting themselves at the right place at the right time to meet the right type of woman. They are really committed to their lifestyle, which is wonderful. I want everyone to live the life that they choose by all means. But a lot of guys like to do things that could be very business orientated, or on the other end, you could kind of be a hippie too, or a gypsy, whatever the hell you want to say it. You may be somebody who travels or likes to go off the grid for a certain amount of months, do things that maybe others aren't doing. And they may be very stable with their life, but if you were to get into a relationship with them, it would be almost crazy. It would be, how would you, unless you're kind of more of a long distance type person, but I know people that like to go, for instance, go to Alaska for a certain time for hunting, right? And then the next one, go live in another city or state, literally off the grid for a few months. And then go live somewhere else for a few months. Like, their life is kind of mobile. And you could do that nowadays. But a lot of them guys find themselves lonely. It is hard to find somebody who's going to live that lifestyle with you. Let's face it. On the flip side, I tell them, if you found the woman that you liked, would you change your lifestyle for them? And most likely they say no. I'm not going to go live in, here in a major city. I don't like that. Or I live in a major city. I'm not going to go live out and do wherever they live. When you're truly interested in being in a relationship or being around women, you first got to figure out, I talk about what types of women. But don't box yourself in entirely. But let's say in this instant, I have a guy who travels all over, not only in the United States, but all over the world, off and on. Which you would think a woman would be like, yeah, I'm going to jump into that. That'd be cool to date a guy who does all that, and I'll go with him. Well, the reality is he does a lot of that independently. It's not that he can maybe afford to pay for someone else to do it, and a lot of women can't afford to keep up with that as well. So you have both of those components, but put that aside. He wants to find, say, a certain type of woman, let's say an Asian woman, and he goes off the grid to certain places in the United States. A lot of places he's going to, very small amount of Asian women. Say it's less than 5%. And then let's cut that in half of them are men, right? And let's say a lot of them are already engaged, married, or in relationships, whatever. What are really the odds of him finding someone a lot of times, or at least even meeting the type of women he's interested in? It's very small. So I just want to do a podcast on this very quickly that, if you are having a problem again in relationships, you've got to figure out what your problem is maybe. It's not always everyone else. But a lot of it does come down not only to your personality and the way you act and all these other things, it's the lifestyle you lead. Would you date yourself? Would you, want to be in a relationship with somebody like you? Now, if you don't travel and you don't do all these crazy things, I get it. But here's the thing, too, you got to look at. Hold on, let me get some water. Hold on, guys. Even if you are somebody who is in one place, right, in one city or one state that really doesn't move, again, back to a lifestyle, do you work 70, 80 hours a week? Are you divorced, let's say, and you're balancing, say you got 2, 3 kids? say you're an entrepreneur and you're constantly kind of doing things, reading, working. Maybe you're struggling. Maybe you have 2 jobs. Maybe you're a server. You got to work doubles. Maybe you have all these different things going on. And then you'll wonder why, again, when you meet somebody or start dating somebody, you're not looking at it from the outside in. You just don't have time for them. They're not a priority. And that's sometimes just something we don't realize, I think. But if you truly want to be in a relationship, it's got to have some balance to it. But I don't think a lot of times people recognize this. So I just wanted to, like I said earlier, do a podcast on this. If you, should I wrap it up with this? Here's the deal, though. I'm going to just say this very quickly. This goes for men and women. If you're not meeting a different woman or a man at least once a week, I don't care online, through your friends, I don't care if you go on a date on a dating app, I don't care if you go on a website, you're being lazy. I will say this, a lot of guys I know that travel off the grid or are busy entrepreneurs and all this shit, they are lazy. And don't get me wrong, they may go on a dating app to kind of find somebody maybe here or there, but when that's not working, 1 is they're not consistent. 2 is they complain about it a lot. But 3 is you want to meet somebody at least. That doesn't mean you got to go on dates at least once a week. You can do it once a day. You could go on your friends. I don't care if you want to stalk them on their Facebook, Instagram, whatever. See if there's somebody on there you might find attractive. You may reach out to people and start saying, hey, I'd like you to introduce me to different people. I talk about going to the mall to meet different types of women, or a lot of times you go in stores, they will talk to you. Stop being lazy as well. Okay, there's definitely somebody I can assure you out there for you, because there's 3.5 billion women. And even though I may be saying, it's hard to find a woman that would do all these other things, they are out there. They will do it. Again, if you're lazy, you're never going to find them, though, either. But I just wanted to throw that in there. You should always be meeting new women, not just kind of doing something where you meet one girl online and then say, oh, I'm going to see how this works out. You don't even talk to them for 2-3 months. You don't live in the same city or state. And then when you do meet them, you may hit it off for a couple days, and then in a month or 2, it doesn't work out. You wasted a lot of time. You got to make sure you're continuously meeting men or women that you're interested in. And again, you can do it online, you can do it on Zoom, but do not get wrapped up with one and keep waiting months and months and months, or be like, oh, when I get back in 3-4 months, then I'm going to go on a date with her, and then you complain you're always alone. You got to make it work where you're at, and you got to maybe make it work where you're not at. So I will officially wrap it up there. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up at masteringselfconfidence.com, where I help men in relationships, regardless if they've been through a bad breakup or divorce. What else? I'm at richtolenza.com. You can email me, rich@richtolenza.com. Leave a question or comment, and I'll help you in any way I can. Take care.